Good morning. Good morning, you Hollywood generation. Hoping this is working. Good morning, you Hollywood generation. My name is Orlando Delbert. This is Hollywood Unapologetic, and I'm doing something a little bit different today. I ended up staying up last night watching videos on all of these Broadway performers, but they were performing off stage. They were performing in subway stations, on planes, in malls, that kind of thing. And it really got me thinking about the differences between Los Angeles and New York. And being a New Yorker who's been in Los Angeles for so many years, there's I definitely know what the difference is. Everything from cost of living, even though they're both places are expensive, New York is definitely more expensive. But also the attitudes, the egos, the whole thing is just very different. And I mention this because uh, when I was watching these videos in particular, like the one that really stood out was from Lion King. I believe it was a touring company. They sung "Circle of Life." It just really stuck with me. They were on the New York subway, and I mean, I was in tears. I admit it. Yes, that's right. I was in tears because it made me miss home. Because being in Los Angeles, even though there's so many talented people there, the so many go out of their way to not be supportive and to undermine other people's successes and endeavors, and it's just this whole throat attitude that doesn't need to exist. And in New York, yes, of course, there's a lot of competition, but there's so much opportunity. And I didn't experience it not nearly to the same level that I did in Los Angeles. And me growing up in theater, watching these performers, I mean, really sat well with me. It really hit home. So I bring all this up because when you're considering what you want to do, what do you want to do? That's a question that you have to ask yourself. And I know in Los Angeles, I was asked that over and over again by so many people when I first met them for the first few years of my being there. The question, what do you want to do? And it's very important to have an answer for that, to have an honest answer for that, because I've met so many young people that have the only answer that they have is, I want to be rich and famous. That's it. That's it. That's their whole answer. I mean, Hollywood. I don't know if you know this. Hollywood is the homeless capital of the United States. And when you're driving around, you see a lot of homeless people. I mean, there's no question about that. And I used to stop and pull over and just talk to people, talk to a lot of young people in particular. And so many of them said the exact same thing. I want to be rich and famous. And that was it. There was no game plan. There was no anything. They just came to Los Angeles hoping that they'll be discovered and that was enough. So, here they are, no money, uh, no education, nothing to fall back on, and they're hoping someone's going to, ooh, this person looks cute, let me give them a chance. And that's just entirely unrealistic. So I mention this because when I came to Los Angeles, I was 29, already considered an old man, and I had a game plan. At the time, the job I had prior to coming to Los Angeles, I was working in an animation house. And my plan was to get into a high-end boutique uh, uh, post production facility. So, because I wanted to get into special effects and eventually become a visual effects supervisor. I had this whole thing lined up and planned out, I should say, and it just didn't work out. The only opportunities that were being presented to me at the time were to be a runner, which is basically a production assistant kind of job, but you're working for free. And I had two school loans and paying off a Lexus, and it was just unrealistic. There's just no way for me to afford that. I needed to pay my bills. So that option didn't work for me. But fortunately, I had television experience prior to that. So that actually helped me get into working at different networks on the network level, and being able to do close to air graphics and get into special effects that way. But that wasn't my primary plan. That was my plan B. So, but fortunately, I had already experience in that arena, as well as I was able to carry over an experience from being in the music industry. When I was a studio musician, I didn't have anyone to mentor me, and I got screwed over on a lot of different types of contracts. But that experience has helped me when it came to film distribution. And when I got to Los Angeles, a lot of people, they just saw me as a designer, but I've produced, uh, uh, I don't know how many films and television productions. I mean, I've co-developed easily another 120 productions, as well as written screenplays and all that stuff. But all of that prior experience was always, it all helped me. But it was none of that had to do with what my plan was. My original plan was to be an animator. I was planning on going to Japan. It was really lucrative. But anyway, my point is that's a question that you're going to be asked, and I hope that you can ask yourself that. So this way you could streamline the best that you can what your game plan is going to be, what your angle of attack is going to be. So this way you'll have your plan A, your plan B, and you'll be able to direct your energies appropriately. So this way you could benefit from having, because there's just so many people that just kind of float through life. They just don't have anything, anything planned out, and whatever presents themselves, that's what they deal with. But really, to succeed, especially in an industry like the entertainment industry, you have to have a plan. You just have to. So on that note, I want to wish you a happy Sunday. Um, yeah, I'm sitting in my Jeep because this is actually my third attempt trying to get this on YouTube today. This morning I went for a walk and it was all foggy, and I thought, hey, let me do that. But being that the 101 is right there and it's loud, I figured, well, let me just jump in the Jeep and just shoot something really quickly. But which is why I'm sitting in this thing instead of doing a green screen thing. But anyway, watching these videos really got me thinking about the differences between New York and Los Angeles, and the importance of having a plan. Oh, and one thing before I go, Los Angeles in particular, so many Angelenos are very quick to label you once upon they meet you. You know, so let's say in a professional setting, whatever your first job for many people dictates your career there. So let's say you get a job as a production assistant working on, let's say, game shows, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Being a PA is a great opportunity for anyone with little or no experience. But the problem is Los Angeles, people, they see, okay, this person, he or she is a PA that works on game shows. They put a label on you, and that's all they expect that you do. So what ends up happening is any opportunities that present, well, most opportunities that would present themselves, they're not even floated your way, because they only see you as someone who does that particular job on that particular type of project. And that's the only city I've ever lived and worked in that people were like that. So it's something, that's another reason why having a game plan is really important. So this way you could choose which opportunities you can take, but even more importantly, to really succeed in our industry, you have to make your own opportunities. You just do. Anyone who says anything different, they're only going to go so far. I mean, that's just a reality. Unless they could finance their own ticket. But a large majority of people create their own projects and are able to run with them and be able to create their own brand and build their own support group and all of that. Because relying on any of the studios and relying on the networks, your life is in the hands of a corporation. And a lot of these big corporations, they spit people out after a few years anyway. So really, the point is, I really want you to give some thought to what you want to do. Really think about what that answer is, and think about what your plan A, your plan B is, and really be honest with yourself. You know, don't put a time limit on where you see yourself. You know, I mean, think about where you want to be in a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years even. Um, but don't put a time limit on where if I'm not successful by, I'm 30 years old, that's it. I'm gonna do something else. Just go for it. Remove all doubt. Stay focused and just go for it. So on that note, I'm gonna go, and I hope you like this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that little like button. And hopefully, I'll probably do a couple more of these like this as time permits. All right, have a happy Sunday, you Hollywood generation. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye. How do you get out of this?